You're listening to the P.A.C.E Radio Network here at PACERadio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Oh yeah, baby, that's lovely.
Good morning, it's December the 2nd, and welcome to Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News here at PACERadio.net. Just so you know, Cindy and Glenn aren't available today, so I'm going alone when that happens. I've got 8 stories that I'm going to cover today. They're going to come from Canada, the USA, Germany, and the Czech Republic. So if you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And other than that, I will get started into the news. First up from StratCan, headline says, Cannabis vapes coming to the SQDC by fall of 2025. Gee, you'd think with cannabis being legalized in Canada now for 6 years that these would have already been in Quebec, but no, they weren't. Yeah, the Sorte Quebecois de Cannabis is adding vaping products to its product offering, but consumers will have to wait a year or so to buy them. In an information note to all suppliers based on or posted on November the 28th, the provincial cannabis wholesaler and retailer says it was decided to finally allow the sale of vape products in order to provide a lower risk alternative to Quebec customers compared to unregulated vape products that are easily purchased across the country. The SQDC company will hold an online meeting on December the 10th to explain this to suppliers its requirements for batteries and cartridges to ensure products comply with regulations and that the new process goes smoothly. The SQDC says it is giving itself approximately 1 year before beginning to sell these products. They say in a bulletin, in a year or so, Quebec customers will have access to quality regulated products. Will know exactly what they are inhaling and will be guided by knowledgeable, trained advisors. The new category will be introduced gradually with an initial rollout of about 20 products. The SQDC will hold 2 separate product calls, one for batteries and the other for cannabis vape cartridges. The first online meeting on December the 10th will also be the opening date of the battery product call and an end of date of January the 31st, 2025. Now, the SQDC will then open up a product call for cannabis vape carts on March the 31st, which will end April the 25th of next year. The planned start of sales will be the fall of 2025. Now, a media relations team representative with the SQDC told StratCan via email that we took this decision in response to the rising popularity of its method of use and the risks associated with vaping products from the illegal market. These products frequently contain banned chemical substances and THC levels that exceed Quebec standards, appealing flavors and aromas, especially for young people, and make inaccurate claims. It's going to be interesting in what they talk about Quebec standards when it comes to the THC level. Despite a provincial ban, a quarter of cannabis using Quebecers report using cannabis vapes, according to a survey from the Institute of Statistics to Quebec in early 2024. 25% of Quebecers who reported consuming cannabis in the past year said they had vaped it. So people are obviously ignoring that law. Quebec banned cannabis vape pens in 2019. Since then, since there is no legal source for cannabis vapes in Quebec, residents took ISQ that they sourced their vapes from family and friends, from legal sources in other provinces, from illicit suppliers, and or from online. Newfoundland and Labrador have also previously banned the sale of cannabis vapes, but began allowing them in 2022. PEI also banned cannabis vapes. The provincial online store did recently list a few vapes, but they are now listed as out of stock. The survey results come from the 2023 Quebec Cannabis Survey collected between February and July of 2023 from 13,000 people. The first results of the survey were released back in October of 2023, and most Quebecers who consume cannabis do so by smoking. That's 81%, while 31% reported using edibles, 23% consuming oral cannabis drops, such as cannabis oils. These oils have the same active ingredient as in cannabis edibles. And you can get you can buy say per package higher THC levels overall per package when you use the oils. Now, about 71% of Quebecers over the age of 15 who consumed cannabis in the last year reported getting at least some of their cannabis from legal stores in Quebec. Now, how is it over the age of 15? So how's a 16-year-old getting their legal cannabis from a store? I don't know. I don't know. We'll find out, I guess. So maybe over time. All righty. On to the next story. We've got, there it is. I said find it. This one's coming to me from the International Cannabis Business Conference. Headline says German hospitals want greater medical cannabis telemedicine integration. Let's find out what this is all about. The German Hospital Association, the DKG, and the German Society for Telemedicine have issued a joint position paper calling for increased medical cannabis telemedicine in German hospitals and doctors' hospitals. The association and safety cite a shortage of specialized workers, especially in rural areas, as one reason greater integration is warranted. Telemedicine involves patients visiting a doctor over the internet instead of the doctor's office, and DKG and DG Telemed indicated that their joint position paper that is too important to move away from the idea that good care can only be provided at the location. The position paper was published earlier this year. It says telemedicine gives doctors access to specialist knowledge and patients access to care to their homes. This avoids many transfers. This saves valuable resources at both university hospitals and smaller hospitals, according to Gernot Marx. He's the chairman of board of DG Telemed. It goes on to say that care should also be able to be provided regardless of location if this benefits the patient. Demand for medical cannabis in Germany is on the rise after the nation adopted adult use legalization reform earlier this year. During the first 3 full months following Germany's enactment of the CanG adult use legalization law, legal medical cannabis imports increased by over 70% compared to the previous period. The German cannabis market is home to 4 to 8 million consumers and patients with a total potential market value of between 7.8 and 15.6 billion euros, according to data provided by the leading economists. And they say to completely supply German recreational medical cannabis demand, Germany's cannabis industry would need to produce over 948,000 kilograms of flower annually, according to Whitney Economics. That's a lot of cannabis. There's no doubt about that. But wonder what they're doing to get that there. All right. Cheers, man. Thanks for commenting. Anybody else wants to comment? Go ahead. I'll throw them up on the board. All righty. On to my next story. And this one's coming from the U.S. And it happens to do, it's a bit of an update of a story that we touched on earlier. And this has to do with the past elections, which is still going on the cannabis end of things. And the headline there says that Nebraska state judge tosses legal challenge to medical marijuana ballot measures. That's right. Threw her out. A Nebraska judge sided with a campaign behind a pair of victorious medical marijuana ballot measures and tossed out fraud allegations, clearing the way for the pro-cannabis laws to be implemented and a new cannabis market launched in the Midwestern state. All right, that's good news. Oh, well, there we go. Unfortunately, I can't get any more. I didn't realize that, but yeah, it's good to see that in Nebraska, that they have the law has decided that the medical cannabis program will go on, will happen. So that's good stuff. All righty, well, that was a short story. I wasn't expecting that. I've never had any problems with the green market reports in the past, so I wasn't expecting that one. All righty, on to the next story, and this one comes to me from the Marijuana Moment. Headline there says veteran group asks federal appeals court to let it participate in marijuana rescheduling hearing next week. A veterans organization has filed a challenge with the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit in an effort to force the DEA to include the group in upcoming hearings on the Biden administration's proposal to move cannabis to Schedule 3 of the Controlled Substances Act. The group, Veterans Action Council, VAC, which focuses on legal cannabis access for military veterans, said in a letter to the court this week that it submitted a request for the DEA in an effort to participate in the hearings, but never received any response from the agency. Well, these guys, I can tell you, they're involved. The DEA administration law judge on the matter, John Maroney, later rejected the group's request for him to add it as a participant in the hearings. He made it clear to us that we were formally denied access to this hearing by the DEA, the group said in the new letter. At the time, VAC said its exclusion from the cannabis proceedings is a travesty of justice, arguing that the denial would exclude key voices that would be affected by rescheduling. The group asserts in the new appeal letter that its members and other veterans would be harmed by moving cannabis to Schedule 3. Only a move to Schedule 5, it says, would elevate our injury. We appreciate, this is what goes on with it, to what they say here. They say, we appreciate the hard work of the DEA and Health and Human Service Administration on this rescheduling process. However, as we articulated in a request to the DEA, we argue that Schedule 5 would be necessary conclusion of a fair hearing on this proposed rule. The group says that in the letter that its members have immense experience in this field, noting that 3 of the organizations that were selected to participate in this rescheduling hearings are run by or were previously run by colleagues or council members of our Veteran Action Council. Despite others slated to appear at the hearings, VAC contends that there will be no participant, making this specific case for Schedule 5 as a unique solution, providing relief to injury from the proposed rulemaking and given the available evidence. No participant makes the case that we intend to make, the filing says, adding that there wasn't any argument proposed by any participants in favor of a schedule greater than 3. Issues such as the lack of other hearing participants arguing for a lower scheduling standard certainly raise a serious doubt on the process DEA employed while creating this participants list from the many like VAC that applied, and also gives rise to suspicion that the DEA may have cherry-picked from those requesting standing, hoping for just such an outcome. A list of participants are standing almost exclusively speaking the language of drug prohibition. And as we reported in our last show, there's some issues there with SMART and the DEA doing some discussion behind the scenes. Michael Krawitz, a VAC council member, said in a statement that veterans deserve a fair process that takes into account their lived experiences and medical needs. The DEA's exclusion of VAC silences a critical perspective advocating for Schedule 5, which would provide veterans with the necessary access to cannabis as a medical treatment through the Veterans Affairs system. The appeal from VAC isn't the only legal challenge filed in the run-up to the cannabis rescheduling hearings, which are set to begin on Monday. So that's today. Also this week, an attorney filed a lawsuit against the DA for allegedly violating public record laws, requesting that a court compel the agency to disclose communications with the prohibitionist group Smart Approaches to marijuana during the ongoing marijuana rescheduling process. And that's what I was talking about just a second ago. Just days after the DEA administration law judge denied a motion to remove DEA itself from the hearings on the cannabis proceedings, while at the same time recognizing the seriousness of the alleged ex parte contact with Sam, according to the attorney's notes. The alleged ex parte communications were central to a separate motion filed with DEA Judge John Maroney that sought DEA's removal from the proceedings. The motion was rejected last Wednesday, but the judge dedicated a significant portion of his order to criticizing DEA and Sam for failing to adequately respond to the main claims of impropriety. He did not, however, compel them to provide any records. Why didn't they just remove Sam? Get Sam out of the process. It's obviously going to be harder to get the DEA out of there. Sam might have been something to go after. Meanwhile, a pre-hearing statement submitted to Maroney on Tuesday, the DEA previewed this testimony and its own witnesses plan to provide at the upcoming hearings without clarifying where it stands on the rescheduling process. The agency also said that the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, which carried out a scientific review that informed the proposal to move to Schedule 3, rejected its request to provide witnesses. With the initial primary hearing scheduled for today, the merit-based proceedings were delayed until at least 2025, after Maroney notified DEA that it provided insufficient information about the 25 selected witnesses that the DEA administrator Ann Milligan submitted. Separately, the judge last week denied a request from a cannabis and psychedelics researcher to postpone the upcoming rescheduling hearing over the agency's alleged improper blocking of witnesses, while arguing that the process should be halted at least until President-elect Donald Trump's administration comes into power so it can review the rulemaking. Vice President Kamala Harris said ahead of this month's election that part of the reason for the delay in the administration cannabis rescheduling effort is federal bureaucracy that slows things down, including at the DEA. And in March, she also expressed some frustration with the bureaucratic process of rescheduling cannabis prior to the DOJ's recommendation, calling on the DEA to expediently finish the job. While Biden administration facilitated a review that led to the DOJ rescheduling proposal, Trump has also voiced support for the reform. In Congress, numerous lawmakers to share their own perspectives on the proposed reform with DEA and DOJ since the Schedule 3 announcement was made. In August, for example, Chuck Grassley raised concerns about the Biden administration's justification for recommending cannabis rescheduling, demanding answers to questions from federal agencies about how they arrived at the decision in what he described as a rushed and unconventional administrative process. A week earlier, top Democratic senators, including Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, sent a separate letter to the DOJ's Garland and DEA's Milgram, urging the agencies to promptly finalize the rules to reschedule cannabis. While rescheduling would remove certain research barriers and free up state licensed cannabis businesses to take federal tax deductions under the internal or the IRS code known as 280E, it would not legalize cannabis. Correct. So this story goes on, but the veterans group did not get is not there, and as far as I'm concerned, they should be. They've been doing great work. Their programs or their videos that they've been doing with interviews and stuff have been running here on the P.A.C.E Radio Network, and they are veterans that are out there working hard for veterans access to medical cannabis. So I can see why they're upset, and I'd want to be there too if I was those guys, because they speak all over the world talking about cannabis, and they're being denied that here in their own country. So, all righty, time for me to go to have a break. It's medication time. I see I got 4 more stories to go. I'll be right back after I medicate. So you're watching Psychedelics and Cannabis Education and News. I'm live here at PACERadio.net. You're listening to the P.A.C.E Radio Network here at PACERadio.net. Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, open Monday to Friday from 10 till 7 p.m. or by chance. Check out our flags, our t-shirts, plus our hats, and look of that supply of rolling papers, plus much more. We've got bongs and your favorite herbal vaporizers. Look at all the incense we have, as well as for those who collect knives, check out these knives in our collection. And while you're here, stop in to see Shay at the piercing room, where you can get poked by Shay. Daily deals, check them out. Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford, Ontario.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20, it's so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partner 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420, enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products, make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyndonega Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
What do you find at PACERadio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. Are you looking for non-stop, continuous cannabis and psychedelic programming? If you are, then turn your browsers to 420radio.ca or PACERadio.net, where you will find the 420 PACE re-rolled Saturday. Everything gets started at 8 a.m. Eastern Saturday morning. You're listening to the P.A.C.E Radio Network here at PACERadio.net. All right, I'm back for my medication session. Just so you know, Cindy and Glenn weren't available today, so when that happens, I go alone. All righty. First story of the second half of the show. We got four articles to cover in total, and here I go. First up from StratCan, Canadian cannabis companies bringing THC infused sublingual pouches to the market. What's this? Two Canadian cannabis companies have recently launched the first THC-infused oral pouches. Stency brands, Chillos by Potluck, and The Good Shroom Co's DVPs. Both brand products are marketed as pouches to be placed in the lip or gum, similar to caffeine and nicotine-infused pouches like Zyn and Zonic, which have exploded in popularity in 2024. The Good Shrooms DYPs were announced on October the 22nd, quickly followed by Sensi Brand's Chillos on November the 25th. Both come with 10 milligrams THC pouches per container. The Chillos are advertised as having a rapid onset, delivering THC effects within 10 to 15 minutes, and come in 4 flavors, while the DVPs come in 2 flavors. Well, this isn't smoked herb, I'll tell you. The DVP products reached shelves in Alberta in early November, with plans to launch in October in 2025. Hey, anybody from Alberta, you got any there? Send us a comment, will you? While the Chillos are expected to be available in Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta retailers starting the week of December 9th, and additional provinces in 2025. So here in Ontario, that's in a week's time. We're thrilled to bring DVPs to the market in Alberta, says Eric Ronsi. He's the CEO of the Good Shroom Company Limited Shrooms. And they said that in October. This product launch represents an important milestone for our company and for the Canadian cannabis market. DVPs offer consumers a convenient, affordable, and familiar way to consume THC, and we believe familiar way to consume THC by putting it in your lip. And we believe strong feedback from our sales teams demonstrate the potential of this new category. Like, you can medicate almost anywhere with these things, by the sounds of it, in the mall, at the theater, wherever. Sensi brand CEO Tony Gordy says the process of developing the product from concept to retail shelves was around 2 years, with the company taking care to ensure that they could control every aspect of the development and distribution. He says, innovating and delivering a breakthrough product that redefines how cannabis is consumed was a challenging and extremely rewarding journey that we started over 2 years ago. Yeah, I'd say it's redefines. He goes on to say that creations of Chillos by Potluck required the development of a new domestic supply chain and built out our internal manufacturing capability. Sensi Brands proudly manufactures all products internally, providing Sensi with first mover advantage, full control over production, IP, and quality, and the ability to rapidly scale to meet customer demand. He also says that we believe our customers appreciate the quality of our locally sourced and manufactured products compared to container source. Sensi Brands carries an array of products under its Potluck brand, as well as Station House, which is also a third cannabis farm gate store in Ontario. Wonder where that is. Sensimilia and Good Greens Medical. The Good Shroom was launched unique products with its THC infused random noodles and infused crunchy peanuts, as well as edibles, pre-rolls, and capsules. Noodles. Editor's note says that another company, 61 Charlie, has a similar product available on the medicinal platform of Mendo Cannabis. And there we go. There's these little pouches. I have seen them at some, actually, it was at Can Expo was the last time I saw them at. And they weren't up and running yet as far as being used or sold. It was seen to be something that was upcoming, so maybe that's who those people were, but it would seem strange, but I could see there's some advantages of it. But for the people who prefer the real thing, I can't see a pouch being the real thing for somebody who likes to consume herb all the time. So alrighty, on to the next story. Here I go. This one comes to me from cannabis.net. Headline says, Trump's not so cannabis friendly cabinet picks. His VP, AG, head of the CDC, and FDA nominees all hate legal weed. That's what the headline says. Let's see what the story says. President-elect Donald Trump's key appointments for roles in the Department of Justice, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and Food and Drug Administration have sparked significant concern among cannabis advocates. Pam Bondi, Dave Welland, and Dr. Marty Makary. Trump's picks for Attorney General, CDC Director, and FDA Commissioner, respectively, have all expressed strong opposition to cannabis reform. Throw that in with Trump's VP, J.D. Vance, saying that all cannabis is laced with fentanyl, and you get the point. Their collective stance suggests a potential federal pivot towards stricter enforcement of cannabis laws and a rollback of progress made in cannabis legalization efforts. Well, it's going to be a battle. Trump's AG pick, Pam Bondi on cannabis. Looks like we're going to go through each of them. President-elect Donald Trump's reported consideration of former Florida Governor General Pam Bondi for the role of U.S. Attorney General has drawn attention to her strong conservative stance on a range of issues, including her opposition to cannabis reform. As Florida's top legal official from 2011 to 2019, Bondi consistently opposed the expansion of cannabis access, including medical access, and worked to limit legalization efforts in the state. Bondi was a vocal critic of Florida's 2011 medical cannabis ballot initiative, which sought to legalize cannabis for patients with debilitating conditions. She argued that the measure's language was too broad and could lead to widespread abuse, effectively turning the state into what she described as the Wild West of cannabis use. Her opposition contributed to the initiative falling short of the required 60% voter approval threshold. Although medical cannabis was later approved by Florida voters in 2016, Bondi maintained her cautious stance of the issue, emphasized the need for strict regulations. As Attorney General, Bondi also supported law enforcement actions targeting illegal cannabis operations and echoed concerns about cannabis being a potential gateway drug. If appointed as U.S. Attorney, Bondi's past actions suggest she could support stricter federal enforcement of cannabis laws, potentially clashing with states that have implemented broader legalization policies. Her approach aligns with more traditional anti-reform perspective on cannabis, signaling potential challenges for advocates of cannabis legalization under her leadership. Now, President-elect Trump's selection of former Congressman Dave Welland to lead the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention could mark a significant shift in the agency's stance on cannabis reform. While the CDC's role in shaping federal policy is limited, it was recently taken steps to improve public access to information on cannabis use. Welland, however, is a staunch opponent of reform, with a congressional record that includes voting against measures protecting state medical cannabis programs and supporting resolutions opposing medical cannabis legalization. During his time in Congress from 1995 to 2009, Weldon repeatedly argued against cannabis medical value. In 2001 House Subcommittee hearing, he dismissed medical cannabis as a veiled attempt to legalize recreational drug use, accusing advocates of exploiting vulnerable patients. As a physician, he claimed to have seen no legitimate medical indications for cannabis and suggested that smoking the drug could lead to lung cancer. Weldon also criticized the lack of global scientific research validating cannabis medical potential, arguing that its absence undermined claims of efficacy. Weldon also supported the gateway drug theory, asserting that cannabis use often precedes harder drug use, despite the difficulty of proving causation. He maintained that interviews with heroin users indicate many begin with cannabis, which he cited as evidence of its gateway effect. If confirmed, Weldon's leadership could steer the CDC towards a more conservative approach to cannabis, potentially reversing recent efforts to provide balanced information on its use and risk. Now, Trump's choice of the FDA commissioner, Dr. Marty Makary, has expressed skepticism about medical cannabis, citing concerns about its links to cardiovascular problems and mental health risks in youth. He has also promoted the gateway drug theory, suggesting cannabis use can lead to the consumption of more dangerous substances. As the FDA plays a crucial role in shaping federal cannabis policy, Makary's stance could influence the agency's approach under the incoming administration. Now, he's a surgeon and medical commentator. He has argued that modern cannabis is far more potent than in the past, raising potential health risks, particularly with adolescents. Speaking on the Mind Body Green podcast, he highlighted research suggesting a significant increase in the risk of psychosis later in life for teens who use cannabis. While he clarified that he was not making a statement about legalization itself, he emphasized that describing cannabis as entirely safe is inconsistent with scientific evidence. These views are also detailed in his book, Blind Spots, where he challenges claims that cannabis is harmless or not a gateway drug. On the IQ thing, just so you know, there's been reports that have come out recently about the fact that men, as they get older in life, who started with cannabis at younger ages, as they got older in life, their cognitive functions declined very little compared to those who did not use cannabis. Additionally, Makary has disputed economic arguments for legalization, particularly the idea that it undermines illicit cannabis trafficking. He has contended that organized crime groups, including cartels and Chinese criminal organizations, continue to dominate cannabis sales in states like California, Oklahoma, and Kentucky. Makary further criticized these groups for exploiting workers in what he describes as a modern form of slavery on U.S. soil. His appointment suggests a potential cautious and critical approach to cannabis policy within the FDA. So there you go. That's their opinion on things, and some of those names, if those are the way that they may treat the cannabis end, that's not going to be good news. And they're not the only ones. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I know people are watching and seeing what goes down, but we'll find out in due course, I guess. Alrighty, story number 8. We're heading off to Czech Republic, and there with the headline: Czech general practitioners to start prescribing medical cannabis in 2025. All right. Starting on April the 1st, and that's no joke, 2025, general practitioners in the Czech Republic will be authorized to prescribe medical cannabis to suffering patients. The policy change is a result of a new decree from the nation's Minister of Health. It says the decree allows GPs to prescribe medicinal cannabis for chronic, intractable pain. Ministry spokesman Andre Jacob said, according to local reporting by Prague Morning, medical cannabis was first legalized in Czech Republic in 2013. However, only specialists can currently prescribe it, resulting in roughly 8,000 patients receiving legal access. Well, now going to the GPs, this may get more patients in there. If GPs can prescribe opiates such as morphine, it is logical they should also be allowed to prescribe medicinal cannabis. Here, yes, that's for sure. And that's according to Petra Sunka, as chairman of the Association of GPs in the Czech Republic. Now, according to a recent study conducted by researchers from Ukraine and France and published by the U.S. National Institute of Health, 57 countries have adopted medical cannabis measures. Per the European Monitoring Center for Drugs and drug addiction, nearly 30% of Czech adults have consumed cannabis at least once in their lifetime, and 11% report having consumed cannabis within the last year. The average rate for once-a-year consumption across Europe is 8%, according to the data. The Czech Republic's cabinet recently approved a plan that would permit adults in the European nation to cultivate multiple plants in their private residences and possess a personal amount of cannabis. Multiple plants. Nice. Let's hope that means more than two. The plan, which would legalize the cultivation of up to 3 cannabis plants, not much more, and set a maximum possession limit of 50 grams of cannabis, was originally introduced by the Czech Republic's Ministry of Justice back in September of 2024. And in October 2022, an expert study was commissioned by the Czech Republic Private Party, and it found that a taxed and regulated cannabis industry would generate tax revenue from 26.5 million to 73 million euros per year. So, 3 cannabis plants. I'm hoping the possession limit of 50 grams does not include home storage, because that's just that would just be ridiculous to just only allow them to have 50 grams, but it allow you to grow 5 or 3 plants. You're sure going to get a lot more than 50 grams. So 50 grams, if that's possession out and about, that's almost twice till we get here in Canada. So that can be a good thing, right? Okay, last story of the day. This one's coming to me from CTV News. This is actually a story that Cindy sent to me. She was hoping to have it last Thursday, but she couldn't find it. Instead, she ended up finding that one on the big bus going on down there in the harbors in Halifax. But yeah, here we go. Headline says, Nova Scotia RCMP seized illegal cannabis from Middle Saxville store twice in 1 week. As I said, this is from CTV News. Yeah, here we go. Nova Scotia RCMP seized illegal cannabis from a Middle Saxville store twice in the last week. Police say they executed a search warrant at a Saxville Drive storefront on November the 20th. They arrested a 53-year-old Halifax man and seized cannabis. On November the 27th, police returned to the store and arrested a 40-year-old Dartmouth man. They also seized illegal cannabis, cash, electronic mobile devices, vape products, hashish, unstamped tobacco. Both men were released on conditions and later appear in court to face charges of possession for the purpose of selling and possession for the purpose of distributing under the Cannabis Act. And the investigation is ongoing. I know there's something to that Cindy wanted to discuss while she was on the show. And unfortunately, I don't know what it is. I'm trying to think whether it was that this place was close to her, not far from her, or whether this was a story from one of the reserves. I'm not 100% sure. But she'll be back she should be back next Monday. Glenn will be returning on Thursday. He's been off for a little bit. So, but as far as stories, that's it. I'm done. There's no more stories for today. And like I said, Glenn should be back on Thursday and Cindy next Monday. And other than that, that's my news report for today, December the 2nd. Cross your fingers on what's going down in the U.S. No major decisions or anything like that on the cannabis end, but they're starting the rescheduling process down there today. Let's hope it's completely descheduled and where it's legal across the states, all states, not just some. Because when you legalize cannabis, you legalize it for everybody, not just for a few. So other than that, thanks to our buds, Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, Legacy420.com, Limestone City Hydroponics.ca, as well as At-Eze.ca. And in closing, I'd like to say thank you for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Other than that, don't forget to educate, medicate, and do not incarcerate. You're listening to the P.A.C.E Radio Network here at PACERadio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20, it's so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partner 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420, enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products, make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyndonega Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. We are people advocating cannabis education here at PACEradio.net.